Hi Chris, how are you?
Good evening, Rod. Yeah, I'm okay. Here we are. It's episode 195 and it's the 20th of October and it's been damp, soggy.
Extremely damp. I think I can say that with a certain degree of authority. It's been just as damp here. Yesterday was biblical. I walked the dog, I got soaked to my pants.
Wow, thanks for that mental image. Thankfully, I mowed the lawn on Saturday before the rain, so that's all I had to get done.
That's probably very sensible. Yeah, the weather's not been great, and it's been showery again today. So I'd say it's pretty standard October weather for the UK, really.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And we've probably had it slightly delayed, if anything, because we had such good weather and such a warm September. So here it's going to come with a vengeance.
It certainly is. Should we dive straight in and go on with it?
Yeah, let's do it.
So first up, we talked about this last week on the show, actually, that it was appeared in a beta build, I think, I want to say. Maybe it didn't.
No, it
about
did come out
Apple
in the
TV.
beta just before the beta. They announced this.
Just before the beta. But they said it was going to happen, but then the artwork was in the beta. Is that right?
Yeah, that's correct. So this is the story of Apple TV Plus being called Apple TV. They've dropped the plus. And that's it. And it's got a new vibrant image, but it hasn't really got a new vibrant image. They've just put a very small modicum of pastel colour into the TV logo. And it's all a bit disappointing.
Yeah, I mean, there's been a lot of sort of talk in the blogosphere about what this means. You've got Apple TV app running the Apple TV service on your Apple TV device, and how can you differentiate them? I think everybody just called it Apple TV, didn't they?
Yeah, pretty much. I think this is a non-event. Maybe they rename the box to something else like Home TV or whatever, Home Screen Home, I don't know. But maybe they do something with that and have a better home initiative, which we believe is coming. So, all not very exciting, I guess. That's it, really.
It did certainly cause a certain amount of excitement. Obviously, we get news later in the week that kind of displaced this. I think it was the way that they did it as much as anything else. There was an announcement for the Formula One movie coming to streaming in December sometime. I forget exactly what. And it was one liner at the bottom of that going, from this point forward, Apple TV Plus will just be referred to as Apple TV. I mean, that seemed to be the surprise as much as anything.
Yeah, agreed. Nobody's really commented on the F1 film coming out, which has been one of the biggest films of the year, if not the biggest film of the year.
Oh, that's a bold statement. The biggest film of the year when you've got a year with Superman in it, and you've got X-Men in it, and you've got Fantastic Four in it.
I'm not saying the best film, but didn't it do like silly numbers?
I think it might have done all right. I mean, it's Brad Pitt. He's always a draw. But I got to say, I know you went to see it, but I didn't rush out to see it. I don't know many people that did.
I watched it at home in the end. I watched it at home. Well,
there you go. You see, it wasn't just somebody must have. If you say it's doing gangbusters, I mean, maybe that might be one for media. If you get 5 minutes to sneak that into the media section, we get there. In the meantime, there you go. In the meantime, I'll fling up our next story, which is once again a perennial favourite of ours, Apple, Epic Games and court filings, this time in Australia. Apple has accused Epic Games of seeking a free ride as the games company asks the court to permit its apps to be sideloaded. So this is particularly in relation to an Australian court case that's ongoing. Epic have won the case to say that the sideloading should be allowed, but Apple are basically accusing them of rent-seeking by wanting this on their platform, and this just feels like the same argument rehashed yet again to me.
Yeah, it just feels like this isn't going to die. Am I right here? Like this just keeps going on and on and on with no end in sight.
Yeah, it's a bit just sad and disappointing as much as anything else. It's happened. These decisions. You've got to think the amount of money they make from that App Store lock-in really must be really, really good for them. I mean, to borrow Cory Doctorow stuff, the enshittification of once you've got the people inside of the platform, well, they're doing a great job of that right now, aren't they? And they're really unwilling to open up again. Yeah,
that's fair.
Yeah, so I guess, it's follow-up. We've got to put it here. We've got to talk about it. This is meant to happen soon. I think that the Australian court have asked for this to happen soon, and Apple are just trying to kick the can down the road a bit further.
Stop it, Apple. Stop it. You're better than this.
They're definitely better at some things, and one of the things they are better at is selling phones. They're really good at that. We talked on this podcast, I guess it was just after launch, that there was a regulatory issue with, I think we thought it was to do with the eSIMs within the iPhone Air being a problem. Well, not all the Chinese carriers offered them. They seem to have got that sorted out, and then the iPhone Air has sold out almost instantly in China.
So A, is it really popular? Or B, do they not make money for the Chinese market? I don't know the answer, by the way. I think a lot of people will be interested in this phone because it looks different and it's interesting, isn't it? I think that's what it's got going for it.
Yeah, I think that's probably fair. I got to say, I'm reading slightly underwhelming things elsewhere on the internet about the iPhone Air and people's expectations of it. I think the battery has lasted about as long as people expected. The screen's nice, but the people are really struggling with how poor the cameras are compared to what they've been used to from other phones recently.
That was what did it for me, the lack of cameras, and I don't regret buying my chunky iPhone Pro.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Right, I'm going to try and share the next story before the Verge banhammer comes down and stops us talking about it. But Amazon has shared its first look at its new nuclear facility. Is that a sentence you ever wanted to read?
It doesn't feel right, does it? Amazon's what? Going to be running nuclear reactors now?
In partnership with someone else. So it's a particular nuclear reactors in Washington State. They've partnered with Energy Northwest, which is a consortium of public utilities in Washington, to buy up to, or to service up to 12 advanced reactors by the 2030s.
I don't know what to say on this. It's just like, literally, we are going to have Amazon, the everything company. Didn't they have this in Wall-E where it was like buy and large or something, and they basically end up running the world?
That's exactly what they had in Wall-E. And today, I don't know if you noticed this, but there was a massive Amazon Web Services outage that took down most of the eastern seaboard of the United States. We lost all Amazon services. Not Amazon.com, oddly, but things like Ring doorbells, Slack went down, Zoom went down. There was a whole bunch of consequences for the fact that AWS went down.
This had zero consequence on me. I just thought I'd point that out.
In your little Microsoft...
I'm not on any of these services.
Did you know it even happened?
I was aware it happened. I just saw it in the news, but it made zero impact on my life.
Yeah, well, it had quite a big... I mean, Snapchat went down. I mean, the youth really noticed that this was... And Roblox.
Well, I'm amazed my children haven't messaged me. So, Dad, why is the internet not working then in that case?
Are they? Well, they're big fans of these things. Here we go. I guess we better talk...
Youngest very much is a Snapchat person. Eldest very much Roblox.
But if you think, let's look at these services. This wasn't in the show notes. I'll let Chris add it to the show notes while we're talking. And it should really be news rather than follow-up. But hey-ho, we're here now. Roblox, Ring Doorbell, Snapchat, Zero, which is an accountancy piece of software, I think. Life 360, which someday we're going to have to talk about. My youngest daughter showed me Life 360 and how much it looks at stuff on your phone and what it shares about you is frankly horrifying. It shares everything, the direction you're pointing in, where you are right now. It's like a live blog service. It's horrifying. Clash Royale, Canva, Wordle, others. And this was from Sky News earlier today. So, yeah, this was a big outage.
What, Wordle was down? Oh, my Lord.
Wordle was down. I mean, that's going to upset some people, right?
100%. Good puzzle, but I don't play that every day.
Yeah, it's one I stopped playing a very long time ago. Anyway, back to the original story. Yeah, I think Amazon having nuclear reactors, I hope they don't have this kind of outage. That's where my mind went with this.
I just hope they're regulated and do it all properly. I mean, it's good we're looking for cleaner energy sources, tick, because last week I think we were talking about coal power plants coming back online. But it doesn't feel like Amazon's the right place for this to be run.
No, I'm
trying to get their costs down.
I mean, they are good at services, but they're very good at making their delivery drivers pee in jars and stuff as well, right?
That is my understanding, and they're very good at making money. I don't know. It just doesn't feel like the right fit.
I agree. It's a slightly worrying thing, and we've seen governments struggle to run nuclear reactors. So private enterprise, what could go wrong?
Maybe they will be better than governments.
Yeah, all right. Let's move on. Another perennial favourite of ours is talking about governments that have moved to open source operating systems. In this case, it's Schleswig-Holstein. We talked about this a couple of months ago, possibly a couple of years ago at this point, of their intention to once again try and leave the Microsoft stack. Initially just Outlook. They were going to try and move to open source email servers rather than do the big bang thing where they did desktops and email and applications last time. The intention here was just to move to Thunderbird and Open Exchange, and that has been done, apparently. They've successfully transitioned away from Exchange Server to Open Exchange and Mozilla Thunderbird across all those desktops. Not without hiccups from this Register article here, but it's been more successful this time, trying to take a more incremental approach and get some of that sovereignty of your data back, rather than the big bang, change everything and upset all your users.
What, you mean it's not gone wildly over budget, taken a lot longer than anticipated, and they might just not bother doing it? Like, fair play to them, they've gone and done something. So it's a good story, isn't it?
It's a great story, and actually, this probably should be a film in here at some point as well, because this is the the area of Bavaria, I think that's part of this as well. And Munich famously went to go open source about 20 years ago, and then just as famously went back to Microsoft about 10 years after that. But there was all sorts of, when you get into it, shenanigans about Microsoft opening their major German office in Munich, and potentially there being licensing for free or practically nothing as a consequence. So you sort of dig beneath the surface a little bit, and you think this is all a bit dodgy, really.
Corporate America and corporations, I shouldn't just ring fence it to America. Corporations being a bit dodgy to maintain their user base. Never.
It is a surprise. I agree. It is a surprise that such a thing could ever happen. But yeah, I think this is a good story. I quite like the sort of incremental approach they're taking to it, really, that this is what they're going to try and do. So I guess well done, Schleswig-Holstein, and we'll keep an idea for when the next phase of this comes along. I mean, we see Europe wanting to move away from American corporations a little more strongly than they have, so we'll see how it works out.
Yeah, no, I'm impressed, to be fair. I'm impressed.
I think what else could we do than be impressed? And last but not least, we've already talked about Apple, in follow-up at least. We've already talked about Apple being pressured by the Trump government. Yeah, that's the right word for them. Administration. Sorry, I'm just dealing with an advertising pop-up.
Regime.
The Trump regime asking Apple to remove the ice block application from Apple devices, and a similar thing from Google. Well, now Facebook has also been pressured into removing its ice tracking group from there. So, yay.
It's not a shock, is it?
It's not. No, I mean, in your words, it's really not great, though, is it? Yeah, it's. But all the tech CEOs are, just doing what they're told, basically, by the American government at the moment, and it seems to be the only way to go. They get strong-armed to doing things, whether they want to do them or not. I mean, let's face it, I don't think Facebook are particularly known for standing up for people's rights anyway. They'd rather sell them off to some dodgy advertising firm or other, so this isn't really that much of a surprise.
No, that's true. It's not a big surprise, is it?
No, but not a great look. I think that's it, unless I missed any follow-up there.
Nope, I think you got it.
Marvellous. Let's move on and do some news. And another Verge article. This is, I guess this shouldn't surprise anyone particularly. This is news that X, the service formerly known as Twitter, will allow premium subscribers to buy old out-of-use handles and things like that. So if you've got a wonderful @tag on Twitter, then they can put it up for auction or for sale, and then you might be priced anywhere from $2,500 up to 7 figures, depending on its demand or uniqueness. So if they wanted my old Twitter handle at G5Maniac, then somebody might get $2,500 out of that.
@_CJP. I'm amazed it's taken this long, because surely they've got to seek money in all the places they can find it. Or maybe Elon's made peace with the fact it's not worth the $66 billion he paid for it now. I'm not surprised they're doing this. In some ways, it's a good idea. They might as well, but I don't know. It's just another corporate social media ploy to generate some income, I guess.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's got to be burning quite a lot of money. Twitter, we know the advertisers left, although they may have come back at this point. Some of them, at least. That seemed to be part of the consequences of what Elon was doing when he was slightly more involved with the United States government than he appears to be at the moment. But anything to make money, I guess. It's a service. It's a nice, easy one. If there was some sexy tag that some company missed out on because of somebody was squatting on it right from the outset, well, you can drop 7 figures on it and potentially get it back now.
So I was just wondering who is the CEO of X today, because Linda
Yaccarino
stepped down. I don't think she's been replaced. So it sounds like the company is CEO-less and has been for months.
So I'm sure Elon isn't involved with it at all then.
No, but I just thought it was odd that they haven't got anybody. It just seems strange they haven't got somebody acting up and they haven't formally announced it. I don't know. It's very bizarre.
I agree with you. That is very bizarre. Something else that people don't seem to be willing to pay for is ChatGPT, and I have done these stories the wrong way around, Chris, just because I think it makes more sense in the running order. So apologies, listeners, a bit more inside baseball there. But we get 2 stories about ChatGPT. And the first one, it was the Register talking about OpenAI's ChatGPT is so popular that almost no one will pay for it. And this doesn't surprise me in the slightest. I think most regular people, are either using what's given to them by their employer, Copilot, or they're just using the free and open source. No, it's not open source. The free one, in inverted commas. That ChatGPT was also affected by the Amazon Web Services outage, by the way. that is on the front end for that. They'll go there, they'll create a login, they'll do their however many free queries a day, and they'll be quite happy with that.
Yeah, I must confess, it's rare I run into the limits on ChatGPT. I know my family use it, but we don't pay for it. So this doesn't surprise me at all, because I think they give quite a lot away for free, to be fair. I wouldn't be surprised if they start tightening the screws at some point.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to happen. In this article, it's losing 3 times more money than it's earning, and 95% of those using ChatGPT, which generates roughly 70% of the company's recurring revenue, aren't paying a dime to help stem the losses. So the company's valued at $500 billion and commits to spending more than $1 trillion. So they need to start making money back soon, I would have thought.
It still blows my mind how companies can exist for so long without showing a profit. I don't understand how do the wheels keep spinning? Who's paying all the bills? It's obviously all the investment, but it seems crazy to me.
I think the whole tech world has settled on LLMs as being the next big thing. We talk about them almost every week now. We almost talk about LLMs more than Apple at this point. It's
been a pretty naff year for Apple releases, though.
It's been a pretty naff year for lots of things. Really, Chris, I got to say. Lots of things. And on that, I don't wish to delve any further. I'll tell you someone else who's maybe having a better year is Boris Johnson. Apparently, Boris Johnson confesses that he's fallen for ChatGPT. So, these stories are linked. Our ex-Prime Minister is a big fan of ChatGPT. Do you think he's going to be sexting it, as per stories last week?
I hope not. But what worries me more in this is, I'm trying to find the line, but he's basically writing a book, and it sounded like he's using ChatGPT to help him write a book. And I was like, that's not quite what I wanted to hear. I want to hear your pearls of wisdom that you've come up on your own, not that you've got ChatGPT to write for you.
Have you ever read any of Boris Johnson's books?
No. Will I be reading any future books? Probably not.
I got to say, from the one review I read, he apparently did a history or a biography of Churchill, and some fairly serious reviewers said it was terrible and biased, and maybe it was already written by ChatGPT.
Yeah, maybe he was ahead of the tech curve, imagine that. Yeah,
allegedly, he was busily finishing that off instead of going at the first COBRA meeting for COVID. So, I mean, that allegedly, I definitely wouldn't stake my reputation on it, but that's one of the things that was posted about it during those times.
I don't think it would surprise me at this point.
And again, this does not represent my view. This is just an alleged act that's happened, if there's any lawyers listening. Yeah, there you go. So ChatGPT likes Boris, or Boris likes ChatGPT. And given the fact that you can sext ChatGPT now and how many children Boris has got, maybe this could be a match made in heaven.
Oh, my lordy.
There's a thought for you. Do you want to tell us what the United States Mint is doing for Steve Jobs?
I can do. So the US Mint is honouring Steve by putting him on a $1 coin, which looks all right. I mean, I don't know. The picture's up on the screen. You've basically got what is meant to be Steve Jobs, very young, sat cross-legged with his palms together with some hills in the background. And the coin says, "Make something wonderful. United States of America, Steve Jobs, California." It's a bit disappointing, I think, if I'm honest. I don't know what I was expecting. But it's not the most exciting coin I've ever seen. And I quite like some of the cool coins you can get.
Yeah, I mean, it's a collectible, isn't it? It doesn't really matter what it looks like as long as there's a rarity value to it for some people. I mean, my initial thought about this is dollar coins aren't generally in use in the United States. It's dollar bills, but I don't remember ever having a dollar coin.
That's what I thought, because obviously over here we have £1 coins, and until everything costs loads more, they were probably the most useful coin that we had. Whereas over in the States, they all seem to have $1 bills. So yeah, I find it odd it's a dollar coin. I think that they're doing quite a run of them for a few things. It looks okay. It's not my bag.
No, but if you're a coin, I want to say philatelist, but that's stamps, isn't it? I can't remember what the technical term is for a coin collector. If you're a coin collector, then this and other things involving tech luminaries are part of this. Dr. Norman Borlaug, who led initiatives to develop resilient crofts, an aerial view of the Cray 1 supercomputer, and the design honouring mobile refrigeration, which represents Minnesota's a 1940s era truck with an early mounted front refrigeration unit. So Steve Jobs is considered in amongst all those amazing initiatives.
Apparently, a coin collector is called a numismatics.
There you go.
That was not a term I would have guessed.
But you were comfortable with philatelist, though, weren't you?
Less so.
Moving on. Oh, no, not moving on, because I've picked up the wrong tab. Moving on. A company that I had a lot of time for, Framework, have found themselves in the centre of a bit of a a flame war is the way the Register have described it. But I actually picked up a bit of this online before the Register were reporting on it. So Framework, a company trying to do the right thing with repairability in laptops, support a number of open source projects. Amongst them, they give samples for engineers to Linux Mint, to Red Hat, to Omarchi, which we talked about on this podcast, and to a couple of others as well. Omarchi uses a particular window manager called Hyperland. That's the way it does its tiling window manager. And it came to light that David Heinemeier Hansen, who created the Omarchi distro, and we've previously talked about for Ruby on Rails and for other reasons, he's had a bit of a contentious relationship with Apple as well, suing them for the Hey email client and other things. Have some fairly disturbing views, I think it's fair to say, if you follow some of the links in this articles, which I'm not going to show in this podcast, but let's say, well, I suppose it depends which side of the political spectrum you are. I found them quite alarming as being extremely right-wing, as did, allegedly, the maintainer of the Hyperland desktop environment, or window manager. So Framework got a lot of flack for having sent out engineering items to these individuals in order to make their distributions and window manager work better with Framework laptops. And the CEO of Framework said we have a broad sense and we cover all political views from left and right, which has gone down really badly with some of the community. So I don't know how badly it burns Framework, but it does make you go, a little bit, as these things can happen.
It's tricky, isn't it?
It is tricky. And, I think I don't know how fair we are sometimes on all sides of the political spectrum. I think our views are probably fairly obvious from the way we talk about these things. But there's an extreme right that shouldn't be supported. And I don't think any company who wants to sell on all sides, I can understand why a company wants to be in the middle of things, because they can sell to both sides of the fence and the middle there, really.
And they're trying to maintain impartiality. I kind of get it. And then you've got, are you looking at the art or the artist?
Yeah,
We've
exactly.
Had that conversation before.
It's difficult, and I think I've got. In fact, here's my Framework laptop here.
You have one,
and I like the hardware. It's a lovely keyboard. It's a nice screen. It's well put together. I appreciate lots of things about it. Just because I have one, I don't think that means I support that particular kind of view as espoused by these people, even though we talked about the distribution, art and artist, as you said. But it does make you think twice about some of the actions that you take. In the same way that you and I both thought about, should we be buying this Apple software gear, for exactly the same sort of reasons. I think you just need to be aware that it's not just a simple decision anymore to buy a piece of hardware or software, or your actions have consequences. And just as long as you know that, you can be an informed consumer in many ways.
Yeah, and it's the same with movies, isn't it? You obviously find out things about film stars or directors, and it may be a film you love and you've watched a million times. Do you watch it again or do you boycott it? It does beg the question. I try and admire the art whilst being aware of what the artist has done. I guess that's my stance on it.
Yeah, and I guess if we were all so moralistic about it, we wouldn't buy anything computer-related because of the working conditions that various people had been in when they were producing some of the elements of them, and or the clothes we wear, or anything. But I think it's not hurtful to think of your wider actions and consequences, particularly with bigger companies. I think it's fair to say.
No, I think that's fair.
Yeah, so we haven't answered that, and I'm feeling a little uncomfortable about buying a Framework laptop, but no, I think I want to support this kind of initiative in the sense that I think this kind of hardware and the repairability of devices is something I'd rather come down on without supporting any of the things that they may have given engineering samples for. And having vaguely got myself out of that one, let's move on and talk about Donald Trump. Yay, another non-contentious issue. This one that I find a little odd, really. So we know he likes to fire people in government. There's a government shutdown going on in the United States at the moment. This is where both sides of the House need to approve a budget bill in order that the framework of government, not unintended use of the word framework, will continue. So civil servants in America will get paid and all that kind of stuff. When they have shutdowns, they don't get paid. If you're a cybersecurity agent working within a particular government agency and they shut down, you don't get paid. So one of the things they can do is actually fire people. And that's kind of what they've done. They've got rid of a bunch of employees at the Center for Cyber. I'll try and get the acronym correctly. Cyber Security and Infrastructure Security Agency. Why would you need them right now?
It seems crazy to me at a time. Obviously we're going through this here in the UK, where we've had a lot of attacks on very big firms here in the UK, household names, And if this came to light in the UK, I think we'd be pretty concerned that if we were letting people go, because that's something we need a lot of at the moment, is cyber security and protection. It's a bit worrying, isn't it?
It's extremely worrying. I mean, we talked before, we were concerned that our government agencies weren't paying our cybersecurity professionals enough, whereas now they're firing 176 people at the Department of Homeland Security when they know they've just had a big breach from the SolarWinds attack with texting being under attack in the United States. We know they've put a lot of their government data online following the Department of Government Efficiencies. This seems like a bad idea to get rid of your cybersecurity professionals.
I completely agree with you. Yeah, I'm not feeling very comfortable about this one.
No, not at all. And we've barely talked about any hacks at all on this particular podcast, have we? So I think it's going to go really well.
Watch this space.
Somebody else that's been watching a space is Jerry Rig Everything, and I sent you this video in the week. So Jerry Rig Everything has been testing the new Pixel 10 Pro Fold. Did you watch the video when I sent it to you guys?
I did watch it. I must confess, I don't like watching videos where somebody cuts up like a brand new piece of tech or damages it, because it just feels really wasteful to me. Like, it's a brand new phone. I know they do it and people make big livings out of this, but I just don't like it.
No, I get that. However, I think in this case, this is actually a very good consumer review. Sorry about the advert. He did things like, and you can see it on the screen for the viewers, and I'd encourage you to go and look at his link. It's a folding phone. In his video, he says, the last 3 versions of this phone, I've complained about the quality of the hinge and dust entry, and they claim this one is IP68, I think it is, which is the highest possible rating for dust and water. He chucks a bunch of dust, looks quite coarse dust, but dust into the hinge, and then it opens it up, and the cracking noises it makes are horrendous.
Yeah, this is not a phone you'd want to take to the beach. And this is the Google Pixel 10 Pro Fold. It's not nice to watch, is it? But they are making the claim, though, that it is, the maximum dust protection. It doesn't feel like it. But, like I say, I just find it a tough watch because it feels like a waste of a nice bit of hardware to me.
It is a nice bit of hardware, but if it's going to fail that quickly, I think you need to know about it. And his point here, and I'll try not to pay it, is if a toddler got hold of the phone and bent it back instead of bending it forward, how easily it actually breaks at the antenna folds. And worse than that, just after he does this, and you can see him breaking the phone at the antenna folds, the battery explodes.
Yeah, that bit wasn't good at all. That is incredibly worrying.
Well, yeah, I mean, particularly given Samsung had a small history of some of their batteries exploding, how many of these things end up in flights, you're not paying attention, it's sat in your pocket, it bends and folds the wrong way, and kaboom. Yeah.
It does happen. They still, I don't know if you've flown lately, but they still make the announcement here in the UK of, if I can't remember how they phrased it, but don't use like battery chargers, and if you see smoke coming from it, alert the cabin staff, like immediately. Yeah, it's still a very big nervousness there, because there was that Samsung years ago that obviously had a problem.
Yeah, and we talked about Mr. Who's the Boss list of Samsung phones and how they were all bulging. However, none of them had actively caught fire. This is the first time in however many years he's been doing this that one has actually caught fire in his studio. And that's really quite concerning.
That is quite concerning. I like that in the frame that you've paused on, there's a lighter in the bottom left corner as well.
Well, he uses that for testing the screen. This was really interesting as well. Even if you bought one of these and treated it really carefully, the hardness of the inside of the screen is different to the hardness on the outside of the screen. So when you unfold it, because they have a plastic basis, more plastic basis than a glass basis, the internal folding screen, they mark really easily. So if you ever watch any of his reviews, he takes progressively harder scalpels, they are, on, I think it's the Bohr hardness scale, marks the screen up from 1 to 10. And most modern phones get up to hardness of 7 before they start scratching.
Okay.
Right? So, I mean, genuinely, it's very destructive, but it's an interesting consumer review from the point of view of what is it actually able to take in terms of damage and punishment. And on most phones, leaving your keys in your pocket with your phone these days is a non-event because the screens are tough enough, Gorilla Glass is tough enough that it's fine. So the iPhone gets up to 7 or 8. This scratched on a 2 on the internal screen.
That's not good, is it? I mean,
yeah.
I'm a caseless person, as you know, so that's probably not a phone I would ever buy.
Yeah, so again, there you go. You can see he does it from 2 to 9 on the outside and works his way along with a scalpel, scratching along the screen as he goes. The outside screen is up to 7, right? And he does it. And then he repeats the same on the inside there. And there you can see the scratches at a level 2.
Yeah, it looks really soft, doesn't it?
It's really apparent. He reckons he could actually scratch it with his fingernail as well.
Okay, wow. That's not good, is it? Because we all use our fingers to navigate our phones.
So, I mean, we've probably spent too long on this, but you and I are both potentially interested in folding phones next year if Apple release them. 100%. This is a major issue. The fact that if I get a bit of dust in the hinge, this kind of thing's going to happen. I presume the battery won't explode, but you use your phone all the time, and if you've got a folding phone, you're going to unfold it and use it. You need to treat this thing incredibly carefully to not get scratches in it.
Yeah, and I think for Apple, given that they made such a hoo-ha over the iPhone Air being so unbendable, the first thing people are going to do next year, if they do actually release one of these, is do the same things they've done on the iPhone Air. So it's going to be interesting to see how that goes.
Yeah. Anyway, so well done, Jerry, everything. Important consumer testing, and we're glad you didn't get burnt. Moving along, and our last story, I think, in the news, is a feature in Wired this week about how easy it is to hack unencrypted data that's leaking out of satellites. So apparently with about $2,500 worth of equipment, you're able to pick up almost all unencrypted broadcasts from satellites back to Earth. And again, if you're a military person, that's got to be quite scary.
Yeah, not good, is it? I mean, that's got to be a big concern.
Particularly, I mean, you've got active war zones in quite a lot of the world at this point. If your enemy can get hold of your communications, plans, PowerPoint presentations for what you're going to attack next, and just whip it out like that, that's got to be deeply disturbing. So well done, Wired, for some phenomenal journalism, and I think the article's well worth a read. It's a long article, but worth a read of your time, because how much we worry about, we talk about almost every week of this phone, backdoors, encryption, two-factor authentication, passkeys, all that kind of stuff. But at some level, it's firing around up there unencrypted, and we're putting more and more satellites into orbit. Yeah, that's bad.
Yeah, agreed. It's not good, is it? And Wired do normally write really good articles. I always like their style.
Yep. Is that everything? Did I miss anything? Shall we move on?
No, I think that's it.
Moving on, we've got a brief car corner this week, and this story I had to feature because I can't believe it will shock anyone.
Yeah, I was surprised by this. Plug-in. So the story is plug-in hybrids emit almost as much gas pollution as. I will start that again. Plug-in hybrids emit almost as much pollution as gas cars. Like, how? Surely, when they're running on hybrid a proportion of the time, and therefore aren't pumping out horrible fumes. But it blew my mind.
Well, if you think most batteries on a plug-in hybrid are about 15 to 20%, and these are saving you 15 to 20%, then that feels about right, yeah? The engine is still running 80% of the time, roughly.
Yep,
so,
true.
Of course, they're going to produce that amount of pollution. You've also then got the weight of a massive battery weighing you down. So the engine is going to be slightly less efficient when it's going. So this doesn't surprise me in the slightest. They're to me, it's just a salve, and I had a plug-in hybrid, a salve to range anxiety for people that aren't ready to commit yet.
Yeah, true. It was a good middle ground, I thought, but never really took off. And a lot of people I see with plug-in hybrids don't plug it in.
Yeah, because you can charge it off the diesel or electric engine.
Yeah. And they don't bother, and they just leave it in petrol mode the whole time, which I find bizarre. But there you go.
Yeah, I mean, Toyota are probably the best known for this kind of stuff with the Prius, which would sort of seamlessly go. And it's a very distinctive noise, a Toyota, when it drives by. I've got to say, you can tell it when it's in hybrid mode. But again, heavier car, not great batteries. As you say, not so a lot of people charge them anyway. If you've got a plug-in hybrid, you probably don't have the infrastructure, really. You probably haven't put a charging station into your house.
No, you're probably
necessarily.
Just three over here, a 3-pin plug-in. You're just going off the house normal circuit and off you go.
Yeah, probably don't think that much about a special tariff for it or any of those sort of cost savings. So I'm not surprised by this, but it seemed to be. You yourself said you were quite surprised. So yeah, interesting.
Yeah, I thought they would be marginally better than what they are, I guess, but the fact that they're as bad as is not good.
Another thing that's interesting is apparently Waymo, which is well known in San Francisco. That is the wrong tab, Rod. Well done. Waymo, who are known for their autonomous vehicles in San Francisco, I saw them when I was there, are going to bring their self-driving cars to London. You excited? Will you get one?
I'm not a big taxi person at the best of times. I'd be curious, but I probably wouldn't be rushing. I think that's what I'm going to say. I don't think I'd be the first one in the queue. I'll let some other people try it out first. How about you?
Yeah, I mean, I watched them in San Francisco, and they drive very carefully, it must be said. And a colleague of mine actually took one when she was in San Francisco and said it was fine. After about 10 minutes, you just got over the novelty and you just sort of sit back and relax and enjoy it. But there's so many ways to travel in London, and cars are generally the worst one.
True. We have very crowded roads. It's just not built for mass transit, is it?
Not really. I think get on the underground or take a bus.
Yeah, it's true. I often go underground, but you're right. Bus is a good option.
The bus is a good option and very effective in London with their tap-in, tap-out oyster system thing.
Yeah, same as the underground.
Yeah, mass transit in London works really well. So, I mean, it's interesting. I wonder if London is possibly the worst city in the world. You could probably test this with. Maybe Paris would be worse. But people just step off pavements. It's not as ordered as the United States. We have no concept of jaywalking particularly. It's lots of one-ways. It's a complicated city to navigate around.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. And I'm surprised they haven't tried some other big cities that aren't London, like Manchester or Birmingham, for example. They may be a better fit.
I mean, Glasgow's a nice grid system. You can see they're using it for the filming of the new Spider-Man film, but you wouldn't want to put anything automated in Glasgow for a few years until the people of Glasgow came to terms with it. I think they'd react badly.
That is fair.
Speaking as someone who's Glasgow adjacent, I consider it pretty much my home city, but I don't think I'd be putting a Waymo in Glasgow. They'd be less kind than the residents of San Francisco, I think.
Yeah, you'd get some honest feedback.
You'd get some very honest feedback. And the residents of San Francisco block them by putting traffic cones in front of them, behind them, don't they, too? So they'll stop.
Is that right?
Yeah, they'll stop them going around their neighbourhoods just because they annoy them. So I can't think Glaswegians would be any kinder than that.
No, fair enough.
I think that's it for Car Corner. Should we move on and do some media?
Yeah, let's do the media.
Well, you can tell us about the biggest story of the year.
I'm not surprised by the biggest story, and I'm a little gutted. But the biggest story for Apple, and possibly why they've got dropped the Plus, because they announced dropping the Plus a few days before this news dropped. But F1 in the US is exclusively partnered with Apple TV next year. So the 2026 season of F1 will be broadcast on Apple TV, which I would imagine is a pretty good thing for Apple TV to get, because that will bring loads of people to the platform. And I'm gutted we're not going to get it here, because I already pay for Apple TV and I still have to pay for Sky on top. Why can't I just get up my Apple TV? Because generally I watch the race on my Apple TV, so it would be like a non-event for me. So yeah, Apple have done a 5-year deal. It's £750 million. And they're taking it off ESPN and put it on their box. I wonder what this will be like for viewership, whether it will drop, or are they going to be doing some campaign to get people on board with it? And apparently they're including it. You'll be able to watch some of the action just without a step up in your license. So you'll still just be paying for the normal subscription. So I think it's really good.
Yeah, I guess there's a lot to unpack there. So when you say, hang on, let's take a step back. I'm interested in this because Liberty Media now owns MotoGP as well. I got to think there might be plans down the line for how this might extend to motorcycle racing too. So that is a possibility. The next thing is, my understanding, and I'm not very clear about this, is actually Sky manage a lot of F1 TV as it is, which is a UK broadcaster. You get UK people talking about it. You get presumably F1's graphics, but the Sky feed is pretty much what goes around in the English-speaking world, if I'm correct.
I think that is correct. I've never really watched it anywhere else. Some countries, though, use the same feed, but will have localized language over the top, I guess, of the feed. The feed, I'm not sure whether it's Sky's or the F1 that broadcast it, and there's a delay on it.
It'll be F1's.
But yeah, a lot of English-speaking places get the Sky feed and the Sky commentary, which are a little bit biased to UK drivers because they're from the UK. But they're very good, very knowledgeable. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how all that sort of detail works out.
Yeah, so there's a lot there. This is just for Americans. You won't be switching over anytime soon. I'll be interested to see what it means that you get as part of your package. Will you get like qualifying, but you'll have to pay more for the race, or will you get the race and none of the other stuff that comes along with it? I don't know enough about Formula One. Do you get 2 races in Formula One, or is it just the main GP in the day?
Generally, most weekends it's a couple of practice sessions, quali, and a race. But then, like the last weekend, it's about 6 times a year there's sprint race. So you end up with 2 races, like a mini race and a bigger race. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what you get. And in the UK, you get a whole channel for Formula One. When there's not a race on, they're playing older material, some IndyCar. There's a lot of build-up in the day, a lot of shows around it. So it'll be interesting to see actually what the format is. Are they going to broadcast any of that kind of extra content? But I'm a little gutted because, like I say, this would be ideal for me.
I mean, $750 million is a lot, but presumably if they start their own feed, well, they won't get the feed, they'll just get the feed that Formula One gives them. But presenters, graphics, multi-car stuff, whatever else comes along that they put cleverness on top of it, wrap-up shows, pre-race shows, driver interviews, whatever else needs to go that isn't part of just the race feed or qualifying feed, that's going to cost them a lot of money.
Yeah, it's a big investment if they're going to do it. I don't know what they do for MLS because obviously they've got MLS in America, so whether they do more around all of it, I don't know. You'd have thought so. So yeah, it's going to be. I'm curious to see how this one's going to shape out.
You do pay extra for your MLS, though, don't you?
Yeah, there's an upgrade on top, and occasionally you get some free content towards the end of the season.
Fair enough. Yeah, I guess we'll see what shakes out with that. And obviously the link with the Formula One movies has worked out beautifully for them from that point of view.
Do you think Eddie Q's done this just so he can go to all the races for free now?
That's why you get basketball from the Lakers as well now, isn't it? If you're in the right area.
Is that right?
If you've got a Vision Pro and you're in the right area, I think it's the Lakers, and they're at home games, you can have a Vision Pro feed for your Lakers games now, but only in that region when it's a home game.
Wow.
You didn't see that story, no?
No.
We should have mentioned that, but I'm not a basketball fan, so I couldn't care less. Or a Vision Pro fan, for that matter. We'll talk about that more later, too.
Okay.
What are the highest grossing movies of 2025, Chris?
Oh, this is a long and annoying article. I just wanted a simple table. But apparently the highest one is Nisa. I don't know how you pronounce this. Keep going. If you keep going down. Keep going. There's a big YouTube thing.
Is there?
Oh, you're not seeing it, but I am. I don't know why.
I think my ad blocker has obviously made the difference.
So apparently, anyway, Nisa 2 is the highest grossing film of the year with $80 million or something. And then Lilo and Stitch. I'm just going to do the top few here. And then apparently Minecraft. I forgot Minecraft A came out this year, but B got onto any charts because it's awful. Then Jurassic Park World Rebirth. Then where am I going?
I see it. How to Train Your Dragon, Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning. I was right. Superman is higher grossing than number 8, the F1 movie, followed by Captain America: Brave New World, and then Thunderbolts. So
quite a few in there. I thought the F1 movie did better than that. The top film I've never seen, but maybe it's popular abroad.
I think it's China. I think it's a Chinese film.
Minecraft. How did that get so high? What an atrocious film.
I haven't watched it.
Don't bother.
I have no plans to. Let's move on to something I have watched, because you don't seem to have watched any television this week.
I've literally watched nothing this week, and I apologise for my lack of media. I've had no sleep this week. I think that's what's done it.
So other than my usual Taskmaster, Great British Bake Off, all that kind of stuff, I am behind on Slow Horses. I'm a week behind on Slow Horses, so that's on my catch-up list. I had become addicted to a show called High Potential. Have you heard of this?
Nope.
So I shouldn't. This is totally not my sort of show. It's on Disney Plus. It's a bit of a fluff piece of a cleaning lady who is actually classed as being high potential. She works at the police department. She manages to solve one of their murders for them, and she becomes a consultant basically for the police department in solving murders. You know, she sees things that other people don't. She's got weird bits of knowledge she can link together because she's got a high potential index. It's actually based on a French TV show from a couple of years ago called HPI, High Potential, something in French. And I just really enjoy it. It features Caitlin Olsen, who is in It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia and others. It's nice to see her not playing the nasty D character for a change. She's actually pretty good. She's an executive producer on it as well. And as you can see from Rotten Tomatoes, critics love it.
Audience a little less so, but still a good rating though.
It's perfectly harmless TV. If you want like just 40 minutes of something to switch your brain off to, that's quite, other than the horrible murder, quite sort of warming and reassuring and all the rest of it. I've really quite enjoyed it.
And sometimes you want that sort of TV, and I completely get it. Sometimes you just want to chuck something on and just be entertained and not have to think too hard, and I think that's good.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I've wanted over the last couple of weeks. So I'm almost finished season 1. I'm watching the finale of season 1 right now, and I've got one more season in front of me, so I'm quite looking forward to it.
Fair enough.
Yep, that's it for media. Anything you want to add?
I just haven't watched enough. There's one thing coming up for my thing of the week that I have watched, but it's not very exciting.
Okay, well, we'll get to that when we get to that. Moving on, games. A couple of small stories in games, really. The first of which is, you're probably a bit old for the Intellivision, but did you ever hear of the Intellivision console?
No, I did have a look at it though, and it looks beautiful. Like, you can't beat a bit of wood on a console. That's a defining characteristic.
Well, my first couple of consoles did. So my first console was an Atari 2600, which had a fake wood panel on the front of it.
We did have one of those in our house.
And one of my friends where I grew up had an Intellivision, and obviously it had different games to the Atari. And for viewers, you can see in the picture, go off and Google it and look at the article. The Intellivision was a little more friendly for TVs, but was just a classic 8-bit console from back in the day. It had really weird controllers. My Atari came with a classic Atari joystick, a black thing with a red button in the corner, and you wiggled it. These look more like remote controllers for a TV or something, which didn't really exist at that point, keep in mind. And just a whole bunch of different games that weren't on the Atari, and that was quite cool. So it was nice just to play something different. The idea is you'd slot your controller card that came with the console inside of the controller itself, so the control pattern would be unique to that game on the sort of touchpad thing that was built into the controller. And it's just quite nice to see these sort of historic consoles come round again, really. This particular reimagining of the Intellivision Sprint is actually sold by Atari, which amuses me no end. That's something you wouldn't have seen back in the 80s. And includes a bunch of Atari games from the 2600 as well. So if you want a bit of nostalgia, maybe you'll check this out.
Yeah, it's quite cool, isn't it? It's got to be a small market, though, for things like this.
It's not cheap either. It's $150, and you think you could probably go out and get the emulators and the ROMs for a lot less than that and still have a lovely time and get bored of it in about 30 seconds, because I got to say, even when my kids were small, I don't think Atari games of this look would engage them in the same way that Fortnite, Minecraft, Roblox would.
And some games just don't age well, do they? So you look back and go, oh yeah, it's not quite how I remember it.
I mean, Space Invaders is a classic, but seriously, when it was the only computer game there was, I got it. But these days, you've got better options.
Yeah, and some very cheap options. There's always a sale on, isn't there, on various platforms.
Yeah, there is. Speaking of better options, I talked about it last week. Battlefield 6 came out last Friday. I'm sort of correct in saying that. It sold 7 million copies in 3 days, which is a lot of games at £70 a pop.
Is this why the internet's now broken?
No, the internet's broken because Amazon Web Services went down, but I don't think it did a great thing for it last Friday. This has been very well. This has been very well received. They've sold a lot of copies of this. They've had a bit of a scandal. I've talked about this a couple of times. The series was going downhill. 2142 was very poorly received for lots of reasons. This has been very well received. Players like it. I find it very hard. I think I'm just too old now. My reactions just aren't there for this kind of game. I can just about cope with COD because it's really obvious. Everything's brightly lit and all the skins are like sharks and stuff, so you can see the bad guys. This one, everybody's wearing camouflage and fades into the background and shoots you from 3 miles away with a sniper rifle. But it's chaos and good in a good way, and I do quite enjoy my playing of it, and clearly it's gone down really well with the community.
Yeah, I'd be awful at this game. I've just not got the reactions for it. I think I would get very frustrated because I'd be out all the time.
Like I said last week, though, you can find a way to play it, though. If you just want to be a medic and rush around and revive everybody, you can do that. If you want to spend miles back and just shoot people with your sniper rifle, you can do that. Or you can just, blow tanks up with explosives. You can find some way of helping your team without running around and shooting people in the face.
I think the problem is I would get shot a lot.
I do get shot a lot, and that's where some of my frustration comes from.
Understood.
Moving on, I talked about this a couple of weeks ago. I thought it was an interesting looking game called Star Trek Voyager Across the Unknown. It's from Daedalic, who do a lot of sort of strategy games. I like a bit of Star Trek. I talked about that at the time. Anyway, a demo was featured at Steam Next Fest, so I've actually got to play it a little bit now as well, at least the first couple of levels. It's very true to Voyager. There's some cutscenes from it. The actors are... Well, I don't think the actors aren't there. There's no voice acting in this. There's sort of subtitles and things like that. But you get a really nice feeling for it, and I was really impressed with the first couple of it. It's clearly not finished. Lots of bugs and issues, but you can decide who's going away on beam down to planets. You can manage your ship, what needs to be repaired. It's got a bit of XCOM. It's got a bit of combat, which wasn't very good, I got to say. But as a sort of management of your crew, the ship, and the situation, it works really well. Some light exploration. Yeah, I'll probably buy it when it comes out. I'm quite impressed.
Just looking at the screen and the video going past, it looks very complicated. I don't know if it's just where I am with games. I just find this just too much to do in some of them these days. And I just like, I just know I wouldn't get anywhere near it.
I think it helps if you've got a bit of nostalgia for the show as well, and you're not bothered about that. So,
yeah, it's not in my wheelhouse, this one, but it does look cool, and I can see it. You're right. If it was something in my wheelhouse, I probably would be after it.
Yeah, I just like it. It's a bit XCOM for me, and I always like a bit of XCOM. You know that. I talked about it often enough in the show. So that with a bit of Star Trek in it, sign me up. I mean, I will wait for the final review. Like I say, there was some very not finished features on it. I will say, I managed to play this on this Mac that I'm talking to you on now, the M4 one. I installed Crossover Office, I downloaded the demo, I installed Steam in Crossover Office, and downloaded this Windows-only demo, and it worked fine.
Fair enough.
So for free, well, I bought Crossover Office last year in the Black Friday sale, but for free, I got to play this amazing Windows PC game. Go me.
Yeah, that's cool.
Shall we do a main show?
Yep, let's do it.
I'm going to let you lead on the main show because I think you were a bit more into it than I was. But I guess the news of last week, really, just after we finished recording, or the day after, Apple announced a bunch of M5 stuff, right?
Yeah, it was quite cool how they did it. So they didn't really drop a video on it. They just dropped a press release. And they basically said, we've got an M5 MacBook Pro, we've got an M5 Vision Pro, and an M5 iPad Pro. So they've M5'd a bunch of Pro stuff. Like I said, no video introducing it. And really, these are very iterative updates to all three of those products. They've got a new chip in it, and they've got some other minor changes around the periphery, and that's about it. So the MacBook Pro, and this is just the base MacBook Pro, no Pro or Max chips, just the base MacBook Pro, the one in between the Air and the bigger Pro. It's got the M5 chip in it. It's got a 10-core CPU and a 10-core GPU. I have no idea what we're up to these days, which I think is similar to the M4. But it's got neural accelerators, and that's in all the M5 chips that we're going to talk about today, these neural accelerators. It's got more bandwidth for memory, so it's up from 120 to 153. It's got 2 times faster SSD. Then you can get up to a 4 terabyte drive in this MacBook Pro. In the next MacBook Pro, the one that they haven't refreshed, it now goes up to 8 terabytes, or I did previously. And that's a £600 or dollar device, so the price hasn't really changed. This is great. This is a great laptop, and it's probably what most people want. If they want a MacBook Pro, this one is probably the one most people should buy, because you'll know if you need the Pro, you know, with the Pro chip or the Max chip in it. I think it's all right. It's a great update. You know, this is really obviously aimed at people not doing a year-on-year upgrade, but probably coming from the M1, or even if you're still on Intel, this is an amazing machine. It will be lovely.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right. Now that they've sorted out the fact that this particular laptop has the Retina display, and now it can drive more than one screen at a time, I think if you need a MacBook Pro, then this is probably the MacBook Pro. If you're certain you need a MacBook Pro, this isn't the right MacBook Pro for you. You want the one with the Pro or the Max chip. I still maintain the MacBook Air is the default laptop most people who want a Mac should buy, because you don't need a lot of the bells and whistles that come along with it, in the same way that the base iPhone is probably the phone you should buy. I think this is a decent upgrade. It's quite expensive, really, for what it is. I think the bog standard one at £1,600 for 16 gigs of RAM and 512 gigs of storage, without a power adapter, you know, is
in the EU or the UK.
In the EU or the UK, whereas the United States, you do get so I will back up on that. You get a wire, you don't get a charging brick. That's what you get in the box.
Yeah, which is crazy, I think. I'm not sure I agree with it. In some ways I do, because we've probably all got too many of these bricks, but it seems a very expensive device not to get a power brick with, in my opinion. I think it's a great spec machine, and you're right, you know, if you need the next step up. The only thing I'd say on this is they're just very heavy, so you'll know if you want one of these, whereas actually I find the Air incredibly light, and that would be my go-to for most people.
Yeah, I think that's probably fair. So this is solid. I mean, the thing that overrides all of this for me is, why have they stopped just with the bog standard one? Why are there no Pro or Max chips yet?
Yeah, and I don't like some of this. They've got very messy with it. Like with the Studio's got the M4 Max chip in it, or you can have the M3 Ultra chip in it. The MacBook Pro, you can either get the M5 chip, or you can have the M4 Pro and the M4 Max. And I was hoping when we moved to Apple Silicon, I've said this before, that the actual line, I thought it was going to get simpler than Intel, but Apple seemed to have massively complicated with all these different chips and all the different cores you can get in these chips. And now they're differentiating more by not releasing the whole generation in one go, but drip feeding it. So it's very annoying, I think. Whether they're doing it just to drive sales of this one, I don't know. and then they do the better one later. I find it all a bit odd.
I mean, I suspect the market for this is corporations who, they're going to, and let's face it, not that many corporations buy Macs anyway. It's kind of, as in the organizations you're responsible for, Chris, it's very difficult to get Macs out into there. But if you are, you probably get a MacBook Pro as a default. And if you're going to get a MacBook Pro as a default, you get the bog standard one with the SSD and all the rest of it on there. And that's probably built to a price point.
Yeah, that's fair. That is fair. But this one still doesn't have cellular in it, still doesn't have Wi-Fi 7. So it's a bit disappointing it's been held back a little bit there.
And I think it's only Wi-Fi 6E as well.
Yep, correct.
So what's that all about? Come on, Wi-Fi 7 is a thing. It's been a thing for 2 years at this point. So no cellular, and you're not given the latest wireless standards either. That's a bit rubbish.
I think my £1,000 iPhone has Wi-Fi 7 in it, but the £1,600 Mac doesn't. It's very strange.
It is very strange. So I think that's a bit of a problem. What else? The update.
So Vision Pro, Gain's got an M5, so it's gone from an M2 to the M5. Fun fact, the Mac Pro is the only device left with an M2 in it, which is bonkers. The most expensive, most powerful Mac has got the worst chip in it. Anyway, Vision Pro, it's got the M5 in it. It's 10% quicker. It's got a refresh rate of up to 120 Hz, up from 100. It's got an extra half an hour of battery life. It's got a better knit band that holds it on the back and on the top. It still starts at $3,500. Which seems insane. And apparently it can render 10% more pixels because of the new chip. So it seems an okay upgrade. What is disappointing here is they're taking £1,000 off the price of the thing. If they'd have done that, that would be in a different place with it, I think.
Yeah, I don't really understand. Obviously, all the efficiencies they've got from this, and as you talked about it there, you've got 10% more pixels, and you've got a long. I think you've got another 30 minutes of battery with it, depending on what it is you're doing with it. If you're just watching video, I think it's a bit longer again. The efficiencies come from having a better process chip, 3 nanometers or whatever the M5 is compared to whatever it was for the M2. It was bigger anyway. It's a generational thing. Even when this came out, I think it was getting old. They were introducing M3 Max at the time they dropped the M2 Vision Pro. It's too much money. It come with a band it should have come with in the first instance. And I think most egregiously for people who bought the first Vision Pro, there's no upgrade pathway for them. You can't chop this in at your local Apple store and get a discount on buying an M5 one, which I think is a bit of a mistake. If you've just dropped $3,500 on a Vision Pro, wouldn't you like 300 quid? 1,000 quid off the purchase of your M5 one? But the fundamental problem with it is there's still not enough content. This has been in the market almost 2 years at this point, certainly 18 months at this point. And I could count on both hands the amount of dedicated things that were designed for this.
Yeah, in the F1 announcement, it did not say anything about Vision Pro, bonus content, immersive experience. That would have been awesome, and people would have gone for it. Yeah, it's just too expensive. And it's frustrating, I think, that they haven't managed to chip away in the last 2 years at that cost, at that price point, that they haven't got it down a little bit. Or keep the M2 one hanging around and sell it cheaper, and try and tackle both ends of the market. Apple have done this before. I don't know. It's a bit frustrating, isn't it? Because this is a platform I want to love, but can't afford to get into.
Yeah, I think it's a problem. And I got to say, it's quite intimidating right off the bat that, for YouTube viewers, when you click get started, you immediately go and grab your iPhone and measure your face to make sure it's the right thing. So how much is it going to cost? All right, so a 1 terabyte one is $3,599, and then you're going to want your Apple Care because you're strapping a £3,500 thing at your head. And do I need all these other bits? Is it even going to be... I question this product.
Agreed. Like I say, I think it's cool. I would love to have one, love to get into it, but it's just too expensive.
Yeah. And last but not least, we have an M5 iPad now as well, right?
Yeah, we saved the best till last. The M5 iPad's here. So very similar to the M4 iPad, no real chassis changes. So again, it's got the M5 chip with the 10-core GPU and the 10-core CPU. The base one, though, is up from 8 gig to 12 gig of RAM. If you get the 1 terabyte or the 2 terabyte, you still get 16 gig RAM. So the jump actually isn't as much now when you go to the 1 terabyte model. It used to be twice as quick. So it's got 2 times faster SSD. It has got Wi-Fi 7 because it's got the M1 chip in it for the networking, the Bluetooth and the Thread. And it now gets the C1X modem, so it should get 50% faster cellular data performance because it's got Apple's own modem in it. And it does support fast charge, which is good. So it gets 50% charge in 35 minutes. So price remains unchanged. It's still $1,000 to get you in the door. These things are really expensive. I love mine. I won't be upgrading because it's not worth the upgrade for me. And the other thing it brings, if you plug it into a monitor, it will drive an external monitor at 120 Hz refresh, which makes you wonder whether the new Studio display is coming at some point and will have a better refresh rate.
Yeah, it's a lot. I mean, as you're talking, I'm clicking through the purchase options here. If you want the nano texture glass, you have to buy the 1 terabyte model as well.
Yeah, that was there before, because I want you to spend a little bit more money before you can be allowed to spend a bit more money to get the nano texture glass. It's a very expensive device. I love mine, but most people shouldn't buy what I bought.
No, I mean, I'm looking at this, and again, for YouTube viewers, I've configured one with just the minimum amount of options, so only 256 SSD. I've had to go 1 terabyte so I can get my nano texture glass because I like to use my iPad outside and I want it to be not, reflecting things back at me. And it's £1,700. And we just talked about a laptop that we said was, a little overpriced, maybe for what it is, but this is vastly overpriced.
It does have the lovely tandem OLED screen.
Oh, awesome, great. Yeah,
the screen is lovely, but it's far too much money for what it is.
It's not bad on a Retina MacBook Pro these days either, to be fair.
That is true. That is true.
So there you go. I mean, that's all the products they announced, and I guess they didn't have an event because it's not that exciting.
They did one. Do you remember they did that odd one for the M3 that you watched? I was away, and that was also a bit odd in that they just dropped the M3 chip in some products and didn't really do much else. Look, I think it's good. They've updated some products, and they don't need to keep reinventing the wheel every time. I'd rather them keep them up together so when people go and buy it, they're not buying something with an old chip in it and it's current, and they keep chipping away at it. So when I do upgrade my iPad in a couple of years' time, there'll be a meaningful reason. There'll be a lot of compounded upgrades to get. So I think this is good. And if somebody was going to go out and buy a laptop today, you probably should have a look at the MacBook Pro because it's a great device and it's just been refreshed. So you're going to be good for a number of years with getting software updates.
Fair enough. Well, there we go. If any other announcements come as a consequence of these, we'll obviously feature it. I mean, the thing I'm most disappointed about is this was a chance to put that C1X modem in a MacBook Pro and actually give us cellular, and I think it's a real shame that they've left that out.
I wonder if cellular will come next time they do a proper hardware refresh.
Maybe it's a feature of the Pro or Max chip.
Maybe it'll come with Face ID.
We're just wishcasting now. Safari will be faster as well.
We are wishcasting now. I still don't get why my Mac hasn't got Face ID.
No, I don't get it either. App of the week.
Let's do it.
App of the week this week, in our continuing quest to always find better software that's got less corporate sticky strings attached to it, I'm trying out Proton Pass. I say more than trying it. I've actually bought a year's subscription to Proton Pass as well. It cost me the princely sum of £29, I think, for 1 year for one person. I think the family plan was not much more, frankly. This gives me a replacement for 1Password. I love 1Password, although I'm increasingly uncomfortable with its direction of travel in terms of the application that comes with it, where the priorities lie in terms of enterprise versus individual users, which is where 1Password started. So I thought I'd give Proton Pass a try. I tried the free version, which is good if you've got nothing at all. I think check out the free version of Proton Pass. It gives you basic password creation and management for websites. What it doesn't give you is passkeys or two-factor authentication. So when I did my import, some of my 2FAs weren't available to me. So I thought, okay, I'll buy the 1 year subscription. So I did that. All my accounts came alive. It was a seamless import from 1Password file into Proton Pass. All my 2FAs worked. I downloaded their app and their integration with Safari, all of which was fairly straightforward, I got to say. And it was very straightforward. And the app's a nice sort of purple colour.
Purple, that's good, because purple's an underused colour, I think, on iPhone apps. So that's good that they're doing something different to others.
Yeah, and the Mac app's there. I've put it installed on one of my Linux machines as well. It installed without problem. I suspect it's just Electron. All apps these days are just Electron, but it works well. I quite like the integration with Safari. If you log into a website with two-factor, you'll click on the the little Proton Pass thing that appears inside of the username or password dialog. You pick the right login. If you've got more than one login for a site, it will offer you more than one. One Password didn't do that very well, I got to say. The integration with One Password always defaulted to one of them, and it was a real pain in the bum if you had more than one account. This lets you choose. You put in the one you want to. When you log into the next screen, it then pops a dialog directly into the browser and goes, do you want me to autofill this two-factor? So I quite like that integration.
Yeah, that is good. I've been on Apple Passwords just for a little bit because I've got my family using it. But no, that looks good. I hadn't really heard much about Proton Pass, and I agree with you with One Password. It's going very enterprisey.
Very enterprising. So it's worth giving them a shot. They're based in Switzerland. Obviously, the email for our podcast is Proton as well. So they're quite privacy protecting. They say all the right things anyway, as we've increasingly found with lots of corporate stuff, though it's not always the case, but I'm willing to give them a benefit of the doubt for the moment.
Fair enough.
Thing of the week.
So thing of the week, I could have put this in media, but I popped in thing of the week because I actually just quite enjoyed it, and it was my thing this week. It was nice to watch Grand Designs, which I've always enjoyed here in the UK. It's where people build nice, fancy-looking houses, generally, and they report on their progress. Occasionally you watch it, and there's a few that have gone wrong or cost fortunes and various other things, whereas actually the last couple have been really nice. People have executed on a plan, built their house roughly within budget, and I just think they've had some really nice examples, and I just think it's quite a nice show to watch.
I used to watch it a little bit. It would always be, as you just hinted at there, they'd go over budget and be massively delayed. Our budget's £200,000 and they end up spending £1.5 million.
Yeah, somehow they managed to magic some money from somewhere.
Yeah, and it all ended in divorce, and their kids hate them, and they now live inside of a tree. And some of them are genuinely impressive. So it's a cool show. I can understand why you watch it. I get this more than MasterChef, Chris. And I can see the one at the bottom there's Pembrokeshire. So they're obviously starting in Wales.
Yeah, that one in Wales is really good, actually. They built basically an amazing cabin in a private forest. Really good.
Very nice.
So
I think
we'd recommend.
There we go. I think we can call that a show. And yet another Channel 4 show, actually.
I do like Channel 4 here in the UK. It's a good channel.
It's a good channel. Right. I think we can call that a show, Chris.
I think so. So if anyone wants to get in contact, Rod is at g5maniac@mastodon.scot. He's also on Blue Sky, where he's at g5maniac.bsky.social. You can reach me on Mastodon, where I'm at _CJP at mastodon.social. Or you can watch on YouTube if you go to the website, which is wakefromsleep.com, and click on the YouTube link. Or you can drop us an email at wakefromsleep@protonmail.com.
Talk to you next week, Chris.
Cheers, Rod.